At 5 o'clock, the first simple stirrings of village life give way to the hard, back-breaking and monotonous business of the day. This is the sugar bowl of the Philippines. Negros produces around 2/3 of the country's total crop. Ever since the Spanish came in search of spices in the 16th century and stayed to plant cane, sugar has been a symbol of colonialism. Independence has come, but colonial echoes linger on. The sugar industry on Negros presents a curious marriage of convenience between feudal agriculture and latter-day industrialization. It runs on the sweated labor of man and beast and the steam-driven power of an incredible fleet of locomotives. This engine, caught struggling to find its feet with a heavy train, reflects half a century of American colonial rule. They call her Dragon Number 6, and she was built in 1920 by Baldwins of Philadelphia. Her strange cabbage-stacked chimney is designed to suppress the emission of sparks. This may seem an incongruous setting for a workhorse of the Industrial Revolution, but this railway has one overwhelming advantage. It's totally self-sufficient in energy. After the cane is crushed and the juices extracted, the remaining fibers, known as bagasse, are dried and baled as locomotive fuel. But the bagasse burns through so rapidly that 3 firemen are required to maintain steam pressure. So, at noon, Dragon number 6, like a giant caterpillar, hauls its load towards the mill. 25 wagons, 250 tons in all. But the muscle power of the steam train can't hold back forever what passes for progress. More and more of the island's cane is being hauled to the mills on the dangerous and environmentally destructive road system. This depressing sight is the equivalent of one freewheeling train. Talisay Silay Mill. Here they're down to their last 2 steam locomotives, both reduced to the unglamorous job of shunting wagons up to the cane crushers. This scruffy little engine was built in 1919 by the Vulcan Ironworks of Pennsylvania. She weighs 60 tons, and despite being over 60 years old, she's kept in good mechanical order and expected to do a full day's work. Despite the frenzied activity of men and machines, overall production is falling. A government commission has taken control of the marketing and pricing of sugar, leading to lower returns for the millers and growers. They've responded by planting less cane. The problem has been made worse by a collapse in the world price of sugar. For the islanders, these factors are translated into real local hardship. As Guillermo Araneta, mill manager of Maao Sugar Central, explains.
When supply of canes naturally is low, each mill will try to grab the canes, and they will try to compete with each other just to get supply. And the result is that the cost to produce sugar has gone up. Naturally, it will affect the laborers. Their work will be shorter. Instead of working, say, 6 months every season, they might be only working for 5 months. So we have to tighten our belts. We have to resort to cost reduction. And cost reduction means reduction in personnel to reduce salaries and wages. And naturally, this thing will affect the people. Most of us here, all the planters in the island of Negros, most of our properties are mortgaged to the bank. And unless we can pay these accounts, we will lose all our land. I mean, if the bank will foreclose on us, we do not pay our accounts, we'll all lose all our lands. And the only way for us to pay our accounts is that we will have a good price for our sugar. What we are afraid is that if this will continue, and then we will have a social problem. Some people are demoralized, some are not satisfied, some doubts the commission. No, we don't know what's happening.
In the street markets of the capital city, a wholesome range of foodstuffs and consumer goods is still available to serve and soothe an emergent middle class. The brightly coloured jeepneys still do plenty of business. But like the old steam trains and the mills, Bacolod, built on sugar profits in the 1920s, has seen better times.
Hindi ko na kayo sa kamera. Ang wrestler kasi sa Philippines ko.
The fear is that if the industry declines any further, Negros's brief flirtation with Western affluence could evaporate into internal strife. The villages, where 80% of the island's native population live, present a world of different concerns. Life here has a timeless quality, punctuated by daily chores and drudgery. Cockfighting is a national sport in the Philippines. Every little township has its chupada, or cockpit. But these moments of cruel relaxation are all too rare. Life for these people is based on a feudal system. Everything belongs to the hacienderos, or landowner, who utilizes every square meter of fertile soil, leaving precious little space for the people to grow their own food. Complaints about overcrowding are not encouraged, and troublemakers are often evicted from their homes and turned loose into the countryside. But if the plight of the native villagers is harsh, then the deprivation suffered by the sacadas is positively harrowing. The sacadas are the migrant workers who come with their families from neighbouring islands to cut the cane during the harvest season. These itinerants live in open-plan compounds, often housing up to 200 people. A solitary tap may provide water for the entire block, and their communal way of life forbids even basic privacy. Malnourishment, particularly among children, is even more rife here than in the villages. For the sacadas are open to exploitation by the contractors who hire them out to the landowners. Skin disease, stunted growth and septic cuts are all too common.
Kay sarap, sarap naman dong
These migrants have come from the neighboring island of Cebu. Listening to this stark song about their homeland, the parallel with the Negro slaves was painfully real.
Ikaw, mahal, tanging ikaw ang nagbigay ng pag-asa sa buhay ko na kay lungkot at kay tagal nagdurusa. Ang puso ko'y lumulukso sa tuwa pagkapiling ka. Kapag ikaw ay nawala, ay unang mabuhay pa.
At least in the villages, the workers return to the sanctity of a family dwelling. And this is important to the Filipino, who has a strong sense of family unity. This is Ernesto Fuertesina. He's 60, and having lost his wife, now lives with 2 daughters and a grandson. After 45 years of working in the plantations, he's regarded as something of a village headman.
He said she has been working within 45 years in these haciendas. You have to work within 5 o'clock in the morning and off at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. It's too hard, I think. You're working in the flash sugarcane. He explained that he earned 14 pesos a day. It is a very low. It's not enough. It's not abundant for the living. Yeah, I think you have to eat only little food, little shelter. They eat only the rice and then little fish. We call it dried fish, I think. That's the most problem for the Filipino living here in this village. But not only in this village, but so many villages surround this place. If he loses his job in this haciendas, you have no earning also. The owner of the haciendas tell them to move out. That's the problem for his family. If he loses his job. It's very difficult life they have.
It's the height of the harvest season on Negros. Soon the sun will be at its height as well. The work starts early, the hours are long, and the moisture-laden cane is as heavy as mahogany. Even the strongest backs bend and sometimes buckle under the loads. apart from the vicious knife strokes needed to cut each stem, there's the constant hazard of razor-sharp leaves and a rash of thorns that jag into the flesh. That's why, despite the temperature, men, women and growing children work shrouded in layers of protective clothing. Each group has to load 10 tons of cane a day in exchange for their meagre wages, 90 pence each if they're lucky. Never was money more honestly earned. The government has laid down a minimum wage, but this exists only on paper. There's little effort made to enforce it. And this is the peak earning period. When the harvest is over, leaner times beckon most of the workforce. In the fields, the workers supplement their energy-deficient diet by chewing on the raw cane. These people view with a quiet, dignified envy the lifestyle of those who are employed directly by the mills. This veteran is one of the few European engines on the island. She belongs to the Victorious Mill, the biggest on Negros and one of the biggest in the world. Thanks to the paternalism of the factory owners, this train crew, in common with all mill employees, earn considerably higher wages and lead a relatively protected life in specially provided accommodation at the mill. When they take their meal break, this crew have the sort of food that you'd expect to find on a tropical island. Fish, shrimps, exotic fruits and locally grown coffee. Like the locomotives, that other great mover of tonnage, the water buffalo, or carabao as he's locally known, also runs on sugar waste. The green leaves provide his principal source of food. He's industrious and docile, and will work without complaint for hours on end on one condition. He must be allowed to submerge himself in water for at least half an hour each day in order to cool off. The afternoon shift begins at Ma'al Central. And locomotive number 1, a battered and hybridized mogul of classic American proportions, propels a string of empty cane cars into the fields. If engines like this were running over here, they'd attract thousands of tourists. But on Negros, this is vintage railroading played for real. Far from being a fun railway, it's rife with danger. Track beds were cheaply laid without proper ballast, and the typhoons which regularly lash the island constantly undermine the foundations. If this pile-up had happened in a developed country, it would have taken hours to rectify. But with the help of special re-railing clamps and a long-practiced maneuverability, the problem is speedily solved. And within minutes, the train will continue its journey as if nothing had happened. But this is rough and dangerous railroading, as Conrado Gabriel, one-time superintendent of the now legendary Insular Lumber Company, recalls.
The life of the railroad man is so rugged. You have got to work in the rain and under the sun. It's very, very dangerous. The danger there is the runaway train, the speed of which cannot be controlled by the locomotive, and lots of people were killed. Now, one time, while going down to our sawmill with the 20 loads, I guess, it so happened that around 1,000 feet from that particular bridge, the train of loads got lost right on the 7th load from the locomotive. Locomotive number 7, I mean that mallet one. Now, what we did, what the engineer did, is to wait the loads, the cut lost loads, right on the lower portion, lower end of the bridge, instead of running down in the wait for the loads to have it coupled automatically, because we have that left automatic coupler. He just stopped there, right on the lower end of the bridge. Now, the sudden impact is the cause of such accidents, wherein 3 bins were destroyed and lots of people were killed, crushed. Around 56 there right on the spot, excluding those injured which were taken to our hospital. That was an Insular Lumber Company. And that is one of the worst accidents ILCO did have.
This tank engine has derailed on an important crossing and blocked all the lines at the Talisay-Sile mill. There was little time for sophisticated re-railing, and some brute force buffeting from another engine was deemed expedient.
Rail so that it will be elevated up. Lang.
This time, the ingenuity failed and resulted in the veteran becoming totally derailed. It was well into the night before engine number 5 was back on the line. Not even the Filipino make do and mend can save every engine. Some parts can be made locally, augmented by cannibalization of spares from sister engines. But when those options run out, the graveyards fill up. For despite all its inbuilt simplicity and longevity, the steam engine can't go on forever. This exotic species of locomotive is on the verge of extinction. A magnificent example, working for Lopez Sugar Central, it's possibly the last survivor on Earth. They call it the shale. The brainchild of a logging engineer from the American backwoods, the Shay has its cylinders vertically mounted to drive a flexible horizontal shaft geared to the wheels. This enables the engine to negotiate tight curves, climb steep gradients, and operate over track beds which lie beneath a sea of mud.
We cannot really say that this locomotive will disappear because we have capable men to repair those locomotives, shall we say, on the graveyards. They are capable to repair that. The only question is our fuel. But as long as the price of oil goes up, I guess the best remedy there is steam.
Burning stubble, marking the end of another season. And so the whole cycle begins again, as it must if the island is to survive. Somehow, a way must be found to alleviate the chronic state of the sugar industry, if only because it provides the economic backbone of the island. For the time being, the steam-driven machinery of the mills devours cane through 24 hours every day. But with the owners getting increasingly lower returns from the government, the island's equilibrium is in danger of being seriously undermined. At the moment, one thing is certain. The industry, like the old steam engines, is inevitably in decline. But whatever the future holds, when the dragons finally become extinct, Sugar Island will never be the same again.